All right. Long story short, AI wars have begun. That's a pun, that's a play on words, because Anthropic had a deal with the US government to be used for their AI services. They reached a point where their AI services were being used for certain things, and they told the US government, no, we won't. And guess who slid in the DMs right after? ChatGPT. And they struck a deal with the US government. So here is the OpenAI part to it, right? Yesterday, we reached an agreement with the Pentagon for deploying advanced AI systems in classified environments, which we requested they also make available to all AI companies. We think our agreement has more guardrails than any previous agreement for classified AI deployments, including Anthropic's. Here's why. We have three main red lines that guide our work with the Department of War, which are generally shared by several other frontier labs. No use of OpenAI technology for mass domestic surveillance. No use of OpenAI technology to direct autonomous weapon systems. No use of OpenAI technology for high-stakes automated decisions, example systems such as social credit. So they struck this deal on the heels of Anthropic having to cut their deal. Now here is the video of the CEO of Anthropic explaining.
I think it was more so that, like late last week, they asked Anthropic to remove the guardrails and they give them like 24 hours. So they give them a short period of time to try and remove the guardrails, and Anthropic told them no, and that was when it got announced that we drop in Anthropic and then ChatGPT coming.
Yeah, boy.
So I think they use Anthropic in similar exercises like the ones by our neighbors. And so they use Anthropic there. So they wanted to have a little
and
more
so we have said to the Department of War
go through this video,
that we are okay with all use cases, basically 98 or 99% of the use cases they want to do, except for two that we're concerned about. One is domestic mass surveillance. There, we're worried that things may become possible with AI that weren't possible before. An example of this is something like taking data collected by private firms, having it bought by the government, and analyzing it in mass via AI. That actually isn't illegal. It was just never useful before the era of AI. So there's this way in which domestic mass surveillance is getting ahead of the law. The technology is advancing so fast that it's out of step with the law. That's case number one. Case number two is fully autonomous weapons. This is not the partially autonomous weapons that are used in Ukraine or could potentially be used in Taiwan today. This is the idea of making weapons that fire without any human involvement. We have some concerns about them. First, the AI systems of today are nowhere near reliable enough to make fully autonomous weapons. Anyone who's worked with AI models understands that there's a basic unpredictability to them that in a purely technical way we have not solved. And there's an oversight question too. If you have a large army of drones or robots that can operate without any human oversight, where there aren't human soldiers to make the decisions about who to target, who to shoot at, that presents concerns. And we need to have a conversation about how that's overseen. And we haven't had that conversation yet.
All right, so that is generally what happened. That was an interview that he gave. I'm not too sure when exactly it was, but it was within the same time frame along those lines about the decisions that were made and whatnot. So he brought up two things, which is the guardrails that ChatGPT agreed to with the government seem to be the exact same things that he's talking about, except that the ChatGPT one has no use of technology for high-stake automated decisions, such as social credit. But the surveillance and the autonomous weapon systems are point 1 and 2. And the third one is social credit. Let's talk about the surveillance one first. Because the guardrails that we have been talking about on the podcast a lot is that somebody is going to have to get these companies to start to follow some basic laws. And there are some basic laws that like the Geneva Accord, the use of chemical weapons, use of this, ozone layer, CFCs. Those are different things that everybody in the world has agreed to, but nobody in the world has agreed to anything about AI yet. So mass surveillance. When we were speaking earlier about uploading all of your information on the internet, in a video, he was saying that AI is going to have the ability to, the government has the ability to buy data from a private company, feed it into AI, and the AI will be able to analyze it for any trends that it wants to. And it is not illegal right now. It is not. It's perfectly normal or perfectly acceptable for the government to do it. It's just that they have no reason to do it because it was impossible before. But now that it is possible, Anthropic was like, nah, we're not going to allow that because that could end up really, really badly. And I agree, aside from the fact that there's a big political issue that's taking place here, but AI going to get that good to be able to handle those large data sets, and that is where we're heading. Whoever has the power to do that could break society. And I seen it in a very harsh way, because when it comes to war and geopolitical things, the goal of the enemy, whichever side you're on, is not just to destroy things, it's to actually break the society or destroy the society. Because if you get the people to be broken, then nobody that would be willing to fight the war. So that's the one on the first point where you, like, what you think, Hakeem? Like,
kind of go back to some of the things we discussed before, right? So these are US companies, has certain guardrails in place, and the US military or whoever want to use AI in a certain way. But on the flip side, you think if you have enemies, your so-called enemies or your rivals or whatever, right? They have their own AI models. You think they're going to play to the same rules that these companies in the US trying to enforce? Like say China or North Korea or whatever. If they have an AI model, you think they're going to be like, okay, the US have these guardrails for mass surveillance and no autonomous weapons. You know what? This probably makes sense. Like DeepSeek. You think, so it's gonna be like, okay, we have these constraints, but our enemies, they don't have them constraints. We're not playing on a level playing field. So it's like,
so all right, that's all. I'm gonna kill out to say first before I try to.
So the mass surveillance is in regard, well, it applies to citizens of the US. So one of the issues with mass surveillance, it could be used, for example, all the information is gathered. You know how currently there are a lot of ICE deportations? AI could make that process a lot faster. It could be used to spot trends, spot groups of people who gather together, and it can make inferences and be like, hey, okay, this particular group of people that fall into this nationality gather at XYZ points every single day. And well, based on like their ChatGPT history, they speak Spanish because their ChatGPT records are in Spanish. Let us go and execute a deportation order on them. So, yes, technically I understand the point with regards to like North Korea and China not implementing the same guardrails, but North Korea and China already have mass surveillance systems in place. They already mass surveil their citizens, and they have social credit to an extent. So it's like apple to oranges. So the reason Anthropic, with regards to mass surveillance, was kind of hesitant is that, one, it puts them in a bad light if they allow the US government to mass surveil the citizens, because then the citizens of the US would be like, oh, let's not use Anthropic. So they're doing it to save face, one. And two, I guess, out of the goodness of their heart and privacy concerns, blah, 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 blah. I think it's just a safe face.
You know what, too? It probably worse that ChatGPT get a contract because ChatGPT have way more users, which means they're gonna have way more data points to use.
Yeah. The part about the surveillance, I'm sure that is the citizens of the particular country that they're in is the actual problem, because if you're using it for war and you surveil the other country, okay, cool, that's not a problem, because that's basically what the CIA is supposed to do, and basically find high profile targets. What it opens the door for is when the war is finished, that there are no guardrails on what you could do with it after you've already agreed that you will be willing to do the mass surveillance. So yes, you might use it for war and it might work out well and you might win the war. Okay, cool. What happens when the war is done is now you're going to have an internal war where you're going to try to use this to better your economy by doing some things that are highly political using these tools. And the part where you say it's totally legal for a government agency to purchase data from a private company and then use that information, that is real, that the government could co-opt that. Which is why years and years ago, Apple had this little standoff with the government with the iPhone that was from some sort of killer. Can't remember who it was, but they couldn't get into the iPhone because Apple had no backdoor, and they said, no, we never built a backdoor into it. It's not going to work. Guess where they had to carry it? Israel. And the Israelis was like, yeah, we could crack it. We have software for that. And Apple was like, no, it's impossible. And the Israelis was like, hold my, what did us drink in Israel? I don't know. Yeah, hold my whatever. And they crack it because backdoor, no backdoor. It's software. There's always a way. Now with AI going to find so much more backdoors and so much more ways to do so much things that the possibilities and permit me to use a cliche, the possibilities are endless. Because Michaela said they will find where you're liming and where you are and do a strike. What's called this thing? A DE. Was he one of the people? The people who do the deportations.
ICE.
ICE, yeah. ICE exercise. What happens when the AI hallucinates, dog? That is what I want to know. When the AI hallucinates and call a particular place as the place that you have to go to, or highlights up a certain person or some kind of thing like that, and these humans act on a hallucinated AI, which we know exists. That is where I know the red line had to be. And of course ChatGPT said, nah, we have a red line there. We made an argument to that. But ChatGPT track record of
I was going side over you.
Yeah, of making deals and doing things. They could have a kind of opposing clause that basically says, oh yeah, we said that, but this clause also said that we could use it if we want to. But that is not even the biggest one. You see the automated, fully autonomous weapons, which basically controlled by AI only. What happens when the AI hallucinates about the target? Like, what happens if the AI autonomously says, oh yeah, everybody in Washington is bad because politicians are bad, because politics was meant to control the world, and it just decided, yeah, let's send a bomb. And then a human can't be like, no, we didn't tell it to do that. And the AI was like, yeah, but you told me I'm autonomous. I already launched the missile. And he like, stop launching the missile. And I was like, no, but you told me I'm autonomous. I launched the missile. And that happens to me.
Censorship. Live.
When I am, oh gosh, I cut off. Sorry. Just now. I need my internet giving me trouble, guys. Hopefully they're talking while I'm talking.
As Andre was saying it before he cut off, that's where the major issue is. You see, autonomous.
Why
weapons.
is my internet doing me this?
So, you know, the hallucinations, you could just have one slight small hallucination or one small bias, and you could literally kill people.
Come on, internet.
You know, that is real.
Yeah, and especially looking at it from a cybersecurity perspective, that having fully autonomous weapons that run using OpenAI or Anthropic or whatnot. Some threat actor hacked that. You know what trouble that is?
Yeah.
If a threat actor hacks that and they go and change up the prompt in the background, that is chaos. That is going to be chaos. Horrendous idea.
I mean, kind of going back to what I was saying in terms of, your enemies not having these guardrails. I wonder if, say, North Korea, China, if in their minds that, they would be like, we need to draw the line here, no autonomous AI, because they themselves don't trust it.
Yeah, that could happen, That could definitely happen, because if the models tend to hallucinate, so it just seems like a bad idea all around. Maybe in the future, yes, it could be something that's implemented. So we could maybe build on the partially autonomous aspect first and perfect that a bit before we move on to the fully autonomous. But migrating to fully autonomous at this point in time with the current AI models, nope.
Yeah. I mean, and I don't think they would do it because it'll be a risk to them as well. Because I mean, it's easy to hallucinate and and have.
Let's just assume current went and came back, right?
Huh?
I'm sorry. Let's just assume current went and came back, okay? Yeah. While you was continuing my rant.
Well, we didn't hear your rant because your rant was cut and censored.
All right, so back to the rant. What happened was, what happens if the AI hallucinates and Akimi probably, I don't know, you see that? When you're trying to vibe code something and you're like, I did not say to do that. I did not say to do that. I explicitly told you not to do this. Please, do you remember when I said don't do this? And it just keeps doing it over and over and over and over and over.
Even generating our images do the same thing.
Yeah, that if that kind of stubbornness is where we at right now, you're using this thing, no matter how advanced, they could have version 10 already there. There's still going to be a element of, we're not too sure if it's going to do the right thing. And creating an autonomous weapon system without human, a human kill switch, yeah.
As we talk about that, it's a lot of time I was trying to generate an image and I was trying to tell it, hey, don't do this particular thing on the image, do that. And it keep doing the wrong thing. And I ask it, why you keep doing the wrong thing when I'm telling you, this is how I want it. And it basically tell me, each time I do a prompt, it cannot see the image. It can't make incremental changes. I need to make a whole new prompt with every single thing that I want changed. So I had to put the original prompt and then add all the additional things in a whole new prompt instead of trying to make incremental things, because it couldn't really, so I don't know if that is specific to images or if it has something similar that's happen when it's doing coding or anything else, but that was one.
Yeah, I end up watching a whole 45-minute video on YouTube about red flags about AI this morning, because I genuinely just wanted to know. I wanted to kind of get insight onto where we at and the issues are going on and those sort of things. And the hallucinations, it is almost like a bug that you can't get rid of because of intrinsically how a large language model figures something out. Because it figures things out.
Something. Wait.
Yeah. Don't worry, I'm back now. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It intrinsically has a problem because it has to figure out how to do something by changing some parameters. But because it has to change the parameters every single time you do a prompt, there's going to be a point where it's going to hallucinate eventually because the amount of parameters is not available. The only thing that the video that I watched said that it will be able to fix it is if the amount of processing power or transistors quadruples. Then the percentage of... Did I stick again? Yeah, I think I stuck again. Yeah.
Then the world may never
I
know.
tell my son stop playing FIFA.
Batman. Justice. And when the world needed him most, he disappeared.
Yeah, boy. I like Batman.
I feel we should probably wrap up
What?
before you go again.
Yeah, boy. Somebody. I don't know if on floor on digital right now, but
Tired of live censorship.
my load balance enough. Hey, it could be okay. Now that's plain. Yeah. Yeah, but generally speaking, the hallucinations could only get helped if the amount of transistors increases, and if the amount of transistors increases, then the percentage of hallucinations will get smaller. So we basically have to reach to the point where hallucination percentage gets below our acceptable level, which will be 0.0001%.
Yeah. So basically, supercomputers.
Quantum.
Yeah,
Quantum computers as well.
Yeah. You basically had to get the margin of error so low that it can't hallucinate, which we're not physically capable of doing right now, electronically. That's why they're trying to push so much for data centers and all them kind of things to help us rely on it. But it's cool to solve problems and get things done with human oversight, but I don't think our autonomous drone should be told to be controlled by AI only. And that's where Anthropic drew the line. ChatGPT seems to have drawn the line, but I think public trust is being eroded badly by
a next
ChatGPT.
reason.
What's that?
And next reason why that shouldn't happen is because who's going to be held responsible? They're trying to move to fully autonomous weapons so that the responsibility is shifted from the humans to the AI models. But you can't blame an AI model. AI models can't take accountability.
You put it in cyber jail and disconnect it from the internet and say, you stay there until I'll connect you back to the internet after you serve 20 years.
Nope. That's already
That might be a funny joke if they do actually take over. They'd be like, oh, you thought you could put us in jail, huh? What was
the
the
whole point of Tron?
It's Tron. It had about Lucy. Lucy is in your mind. Lucy was another show too. You watch Lucy?
You know, whichever one had Jared Leto in it. This one.
Yeah, that was probably Tron. All right.
Jared Leto Tron.
Time to wrap up before my internet fight me again. Our topics today were who cares about what they upload? I care, and people should care, but wherever we upload, I don't know where we landed on that. Michaela, where you landed?
With the which one is that? The AI
uploading things to people uploading want to be influencers.
Uploading all your information to things that are free. If it is free, you are the customer, and even if you're paying, you are still not the customer. You are the product. You are the product. They're going to sell your data. They're going to feed you ads. I don't care if you're using an ad block. They're going to use you as a data point to get to everybody else around you. Anyway.
Thanks. Yeah. Akimi, I think you landed in the same place as me.
Yeah.
Flavor Village opening up digital payments. Well, Akim wants one. Because if it's free and it collecting the money at a cheaper cost than what the bank charging you, then yeah, I think that's a plus. That would be necessary. Yeah. And Michaela wouldn't have to go with cash. Mm-hmm. We'd have to walk with our phones and tap, something like that. And then the AI wars, the use of AI for wars, Anthropic and OpenAI, they open up our eyes to something that we saw was coming. Hopefully the guardrails that are being put in place are real and they will have some sort of thinking. But in the video that we watch, it said that the technology is outpacing the laws, which is true. Somebody might have to do something about that. So that's us for today. We went a little longer, but we had plenty to talk about. My name is Andre Charles from at Make It Simple TT on the internet, and the co-host number 1 at episode 150, who's been here from since episode -2. I think we had two we had two betas here before we reached episode 1. Akim there?
Yeah, from Redbit_tech. And I back when we used to do it live, like do a live.
Yeah, we
on
used to
TikTok or something, but
yeah, and then Akim was like, let me stop that. And I was like, yeah, let's stop that. Because TikTok was popping after the pandemic. That is where you get most of your engagement. But right now, yeah. And the person who's not on TikTok, Michaela Noel.
Yep, I will not give TikTok my data.
All they know is she's on this podcast thing called Trini Techcast, but we don't know anything else about her. We'll have to listen to the whole thing to find out about her and build the social graph. All right, that's it. Thank you very much for listening, everybody. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and all of the other cool things. And if you leave a comment, we'll try to respond to you. We'll respond to the more logical, educational comments. If it's a hate comment, you'll just get a heart because engagement matters. Have a good week. We'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.